Welcome to Total Apex Sports. I'm Andrew. I'm here with my guests Colin and Shane, and we're going to be talking about the Week One fantasy football slate for redraft, DFS, etc. But first, I would want to talk about the Thursday night opener. We got football finally back with the Ravens at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 3. Um, but first, I want to hear Colin's point of view as a Chiefs fan, what he thinks about the game.
Chiefs are winning by 100. Uh, with these guys, both their defenses lost very key parts of their team. Legarius Need for us and Patrick Queen for you guys. Both are that
Yeah,
made pivotal plays for each of our teams. I would say Legarius
yep,
needs a bigger impact than we really let on because he was the one that guarded the number one left Trent McDuffie to deal with the number two. Can Trent hold down the number one? I think he can, but that's going to open up the number two a lot more. And I think it is going to be a duel similar to what we saw, I believe it was in 2019. It's going to be a high scoring 60, 70 plus points.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that is very different from the title AFC title game. That one was pretty low scoring, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, ideally if the offenses are both ready for both sides, they should be able to rack up some points. But yeah, Shane, who do you think should win? Is going to win this game?
Well, I'm a Pats fan, so I hate the Ravens. Therefore, Chiefs are winning by 100. Colin's correct, but
Really?
um, I do have a lot of though. I kind of hope that it's better than last year's playoff game. I think we're expecting
Oh
that
yeah,
to be
everyone did.
like a firefight, and it just wasn't. But a couple things I'm interested in. Are, first of all, I think most people are just wondering what's going to happen with Derrick Henry. Um,
Hmm.
he was drafted below certain guys, I think, in most drafts, but he still is Derrick Henry. And given the fact that the Ravens can also run the ball with their quarterback and other guys, he should be seeing less of the field, and I would think that would translate into less injuries. Um, so we'll see the
Yeah.
output tonight. The other thing that I found interesting was that the Chiefs picked up Juju
Uh huh.
from the Pats, and one of their guys is hurt.
Hollywood.
No, Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown. I just looked at their starting lineup. They're not starting Juju. They're putting Sky Moore, I think, in that slot.
Yeah.
I
That
think they're big
after
on.
they cut Tony.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to. I guess Juju's gonna kind of do what Rasheed Rice also does, just get short to intermediate targets. I mean,
mhm.
same with Kelsey, and then they just have, their rookie Xavier Worthy go down the field. Um, yeah, I think that if the Ravens are actually if they want to be serious at getting to the Super Bowl, they're gonna have to just give Derrick Henry like 20 carries. Like it might be malpractice if they don't after they just didn't run the ball last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, no. If you
but
if you guys want to win, sorry. If you guys want to
no,
win, you
no,
got to get the ball to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is,
yeah,
by and large, the best running back Lamar Jackson has ever had. I think
right,
we're going to see more run plays than pass plays from the Ravens this game.
right. Yeah, if like Gus Edwards can even get like 13 touchdowns, and even with Derrick Henry had a bad year last year, but by no means was it like a bad. He was still a top. I'm pretty sure he was a top 15 running back in fantasy, like regardless.
Yeah.
And they have a decent offensive line, probably better than the Titans before they did all their upgrades over the offseason. But yeah, I mean, we can segue right into the quarterback tiers. I mean, yeah, we got Lamar Jackson and Mahomes right there on in S tier. I think Josh Allen, just because of the dual rushing upside, should get there. against the Cardinals, but they did make some improvements on their defense as well. But yeah, any quarterback tier rankings that you see that are interesting? Um, yeah, Colin, you can go first.
Right now for me, I think Joe Burrow's getting undervalued just a little bit. Like, I think
Mhm.
Jamar Chase is gonna play. He loses
Yeah,
500,000, which everyone says, "Oh, that's nothing compared to what he could make." It's like, yeah, but still 500,000. I think Jamar Chase
right.
is gonna win, and Joe Burrow is gonna show just how good he is. Again, he got what 3 new offensive line and
Hmm.
T. Higgins still and Jamar Chase. I think he's going to rip apart that Pats defense.
Yeah, they are going against the Patriots, and if Joe Burrow is healthy coming back, like this is the week to have your blow up game. Um, but yeah, I saw it was either Shane or Colin. You guys had Richardson and Lawrence tier below. Talk to me about that.
I think that was me. Richardson, with the reports coming out that he just didn't throw the ball as much in a joint practice with the Bengals, and the Bengals aren't exactly a scary passing defense. So with that, I think that's just devolves to him relying more on his physicality, which I guess for fantasy, which is what we're doing, that's a lot better. But how well is that going to work against the Texans, who just got Daniil Hunter, who was insanely good,
Right.
and I believe Richardson, he'll do good, but I think he'll be capped at like 15, 18 points this week.
Yeah, I mean Downs is hurt. In terms of like staying healthy, that was definitely one of the things he did not do last year. So it is a risky play. So I guess in terms of that risk floor, I guess I do agree with him getting put below some of the more like stable guys. Um, but yeah, Shane, is there any quarterback ranking that you either disagree or agree with heavily for this?
I think that heavily, but I think some of
Okay,
the guys in C bad to anchor a team, or even for like if you need a cheap QB,
right.
like um, I mean, Kirk Cousins might be going to like the best team that with the Falcons. He only gets
Yeah.
it's not a great look against the Steelers. I I'm looking at probably 3+ sacks for the Steelers just because of the pressure that defense applies. But we'll see the connection with Cousins to London because I'm gonna look London's way.
Hmm.
So that's one thing I'm interested to see. A guy like Justin Herbert, we have him in C ranking. I'm not sure if I'd put him above any of the guys other than him. Like he's playing the Raiders. That's not a
Hmm.
great defense. That's a plus side. So if you're looking at like
Yeah.
a cheap option, or like if you waited on quarterback in your draft, like Rodgers, Cousins, Justin Herbert, they're gonna do fine. You know. So I guess I'd see those
Yeah.
guys.
The Yeah, the Herbert thing was more of like his foot injury that was coming back from, but apparently,
Yeah.
he's slated to play week one. So hopefully, it's just more of like we don't know how run heavy they're gonna be with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. And also like they got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. So in terms of like the passing volume, it's gonna be one to watch, but. Yeah, we can go on to the uh, to the tight ends here. Um, yeah, so I got Laporta, Andrew, Kelsey, McBride. I mean, that's just where they were drafted. Like regardless of the matchup, like they should be uh, quality starting tight ends. Um, but with any players, do you guys think I should change these rankings? We can start with Shane.
Um, you know, You could argue Njoku's an A tier this year.
Okay.
I would think. Yeah, he had a fairly good game. Part of it is how good Deshaun Watson plays.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue like talent wise, I'd say he's up there. Kittle, I would say talent wise is probably S, but in terms of where to rank him, especially for like this week, I think
Yeah.
A is probably right for him just because they have Brandon Ayuk back, so Purdy has enough weapons. They're gonna eat from Kittle, and I think statistically, usually for Kittle, his big games have been when one of the big three has been out. I heard that. I
Right.
forget where last year, but they said that like if between Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle, if one of them's out, the other two are going to eat. They're all healthy
Oh
going
yeah.
into this game, so he's not as reliable as usual. I would say.
It is gonna be interesting because Ayuk just got paid, but he wasn't practicing or anything. So in terms of like how many how involved he is in the game plan for Monday night against the Aaron Rodgers Jets, that's gonna be very interesting to see. Colin, any other interesting tight end uh, rankings you want to get to?
Rankings on the board right now, I think Shane put it perfectly. Njoku, in my opinion, is going to be the second option in that offense behind Amari Cooper for Deshaun Watson to look. He's better than
Right.
Judy. He's better than Moore. Njoku is going to have a top 10 tight end season this year. Kittle, he's the definition of boomer bust. He had games last
Mhm.
year where he'd get 20, 30 points, then he had games where he'd get a single point. But like Shane put it perfectly, when one of them's out, he will be better with all three other pieces being healthy. I think Kittle, he'll probably put up around 8 to 10 points this game. But a tight
Yeah.
end that we don't have ranked who I want to put up immediately in S tier is Kincaid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
100%. I think I looked it up. I did the math somewhere. There's almost 300 vacant targets from Josh Allen
mhm.
to all of his receivers, and he has Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, and James Cook and Kincaid. Kincaid is by and large their best weapon in the passing game, and it's not even close. Kincaid has great potential to be the number one, and with against the Cardinals, he's an easy S tier for me this week.
Right. Actually, there's one tight end I want to potentially put in B tier. He's technically not in here, but I'm gonna replace him with Jawan Johnson. I think Taysom Hill. I've just heard that he might get fed again in the red zone. Kendrick Miller's on IR. They have Kamara, but for those package plays, like he got on a tear last year. If he just gets even like a little bit more consistency, like he could be a top tight end. But again, it's boomer bust.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I think if they played him at tight end and they kept him there, he
Hmm.
might perform where you have him ranked. It's just a question of when they use them, how they use them, etc. So
Oh yeah, if he doesn't get a touchdown, then yeah, he's not usable at all. In terms of other tight ends, I think I did forget Dalton Schultz. I just think for these guys in C tier, I think there's just going to be too much target competition. Well, I guess you
yeah,
can add Cole Kmet there. There's going to be too much target competition to like they might get 10 points, but that's you're just hoping for that at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
With target competition, apply that to Dalton Schultz like 10,000% because on the Texans, you add Diggs, you already have Collins, you already have Dell. Now you can keep the ball on the ground with Mixon. Stroud can keep it himself and run it in. So it's like
Yeah,
there's so many weapons. It's going to be impossible to figure out who's going to be in the end zone for Houston.
yeah.
Oh,
This isn't for this week, but I was gonna ask you, Colin, is there a tight end that I didn't put in here that could get up to one of these tiers in the coming weeks?
in the coming weeks. There's two for me.
Okay.
One is Greg Dulcich of the Denver Broncos. No more
All
Judy,
right.
Bo Nix. Sean Payton talked a lot about him 2 seasons ago, and him being the Joker role, which was Jimmy Graham and Alvin Kamara's
Mm-hmm.
position on the Saints. Do I think he's going to be them? No, but I do think if you need your tight ends on a bye week, you need one. Pick up Greg Dulcich. He might get you 8 to 10 points. And another one is Ben Sinnott, because there's
Mm-hmm.
no clear number 2 for the Commanders. They don't really have a good running game. They have Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, but as we saw last season, Brian Robinson was better, but can't really catch the ball. They got rid of Jahan Dotson. Luke McCaffrey hasn't been showing anything to the point where they signed Noah Brown. I think Ben Sinnott is going to be a guy Jane Daniel goes to quite early in the season.
Yeah, he will have to. I mean, Zach Ertz is old, and I mean, I just don't think he's really that great anymore. So I could easily see the rookie tight end supplanting him at the starter in the coming weeks. Shane, do you have a tight end sleeper that we didn't mention?
He's not really a sleeper, but he's a guy that I think that people forgot. And I just looked up. So ESPN reports TJ Hawkinson is missing at least the first 4 games of the season. I would imagine when he comes back, he's going to be a huge part of that offense. So obviously you're not going to have him for at least 4 games, but like if you're in a league where like you have a deep bench, you might just want to like check if he's available, because once week 5 or 6 comes around, if you have him, that could be big.
Yeah, like they're in like they the Vikings don't have KJ Osborne anymore. They're gonna have I mean we have Jordan Addison and Jay Jettas, but in terms of like a safety net for Sam Darnold potentially coming into the fold like in the middle of the season, yeah, I think Hawkinson could be that guy. We can go to the running back next. It's a massive tier, let's just say. In terms of we got the starting running backs with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's questionable, so that's kind of interesting. Like he should play, but you don't know yet. We have Bijan and Brick Hall. Those were the top 3 running backs per se. But I guess what's one running back that could finish at the RB1 this week, just based off like matchup?
I think it's going to be James Cook.
Yeah. Oh,
James Cook
okay.
has, like, I know I'm sounding like a Bills fan right now, but they're playing the Cardinals. They're at home. Come on. James Cook, I think he's going to see more targets, and he's going to see at least 20 touches this game. And he will be a focal point of their offense coming weeks up until they find who could be their reliant wide receiver 1, whether it's Curtis Samuel, whether it's Keon Coleman. They're going to rely more on James Cook.
Yeah. Shane, what running back do you think can finish at the RB1 this week?
I have both eyes fixated on Devon Chan. Like, all he has to do is be a fraction of what he was at the beginning of last season, and like, I feel like any game that you have the Dolphins winning, they're playing the Jaguars. That's a good script for Devon Chan, because even if he doesn't score early, he'll get the garbage time carries. But like,
right.
Part of me feels like it's too good to be true. I don't think he's going to score 8 touchdowns every game, but like,
yeah,
he was very good, and he should get the lion's share of the targets this season if he stays healthy. So yeah,
right. Like even if they have Mostert involved, like he was like their goal line back, like that still didn't take away from what Chan did. Like he was still like They were still pretty dominant. And also they did mention they might want to use him as a receiver. So for PPR, that's very intriguing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I guess based off of I'm probably missing a lot of people, but based on who I have so far, any arguments with the S tier? I mean, I think Saquon against Green Bay. I think whenever you have like a new player join a new team, they always want to use them week one. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a smash matchup.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. Maybe Travis Etienne against the Dolphins could be a
The
high
Dolphins.
A tier because they lost Christian
Okay.
Wilkins. Travis Etienne, I think, could be a good piece of their offense this week.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to. I'm just I'm on my other monitor, so I'm trying to. Oh, I guess. Are you guys buying into the Kyron Williams thing, where he's returning punts that he might get injured more? Shane, you
Shane,
can
you want to
start.
start?
Yeah.
Colin, why don't you start?
Oh man, Kyron returning punts, man. I don't care. That just means more points. That just means more opportunities. I'm all for it. Him getting hurt, yeah, he might, but those weeks he's gonna put up 20, 30 points. Give him more touches. Kyron Williams can easily finish as an RB1 this week. In fact, he can finish RB1 overall. Anyone that's scared off of him returning punts
Yeah.
is just afraid of more points.
Yeah, I mean the funny thing was Sean McVay put at kick return. He put Blake Corum up there. So, I I think he just wants running backs at the return man. So, yeah, I think Kyron against the Lions, indoors, he's gonna have a good game for sure.
Yeah.
That was my only. I had to look up because I forgot his name, but yeah, they have Blake Corum, so they might say like, well, if he gets injured, we have an excuse to put Corum in. But if you think about what the punt returners do today, 70% of your game is taking a knee. Fair catch. So there's a chance for injury,
Yeah.
but I think the likelihood you should have a healthy season.
Yeah.
Like the running backs touch the ball like basic. It's like this as a returner. It's just like it's like a few more extra carries. But I mean, I think the injury risk is still the same. Like regardless, it's just when they're touching the field. Obviously. But yeah, I'm probably again I'm probably missing a lot of names here, but any running backs uh, that people are sleeping on that could even get into the top 20, like reach double digits, even if they're like projected like 10 or less.
I'm going to go with Javonte Williams. Might be able to get 15 points. 2 years off his ACL
Okay.
tear. That's usually how long it takes skill position players to come back from injury like that. Javonte, I believe if you have him, be cautious with him. Don't take him as your RB2, but if you need a backup who has great upside, Javonte is that guy.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
do I just not see Jonathan Taylor, or is he not up?
I found him. He's right here.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about
All right, we're good.
Yeah. I guess I'm surprised. I think Kenneth Walker can finally hit his true RB1 ceiling. I mean, he's going against the Denver Broncos. They've barely talked about Zach Charbonnet. Like, I think they just want to use Walker as a receiver more. And I mean, sure, like Charbonnet is not a bad RB2, but like as a handcuff basically. But yeah, I guess I did see that they put Zach Moss, the Bengals, as their RB1. What do you guys think about that split between Brown and Zach Moss? Colin, you can start.
I think it's going to be a split between Chase Brown and
Yeah.
Zach Moss, very similar to what Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry were last year. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do exactly that. I think Chase Brown's going to get more opportunities than Spears did last season, and Moss is going to get less opportunities than Henry did. But I do see them as guys that are going to be capped at 8 to 10 points a week rather than getting, and with a few exceptions where they get 18, 19, where they get those double digit score games and get like 30. Instead, I would be like, oh, okay, I have a very, very good backup who, if one of them gets hurt, they're going to be great, which you could be said about many players, but with running back specifically, it's more common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be whoever they say is the starter, they'll probably share the targets. I feel like eventually if Chase Brown overperforms, they might lead him more because he's younger to the starting role. But like, I think that if Zach Moss performs well, they'll give him, the targets that he deserves for the carries.
Yeah. I should phrase
Yeah.
like this. This is going to be a prove it week for both of them. Whoever performs better is going to get the bulk of the touches in the future.
Yeah, because I guess what the Bengals kind of did this offseason was combine to get Joe Mixon, but with two different guys. So they have Chase Brown, the explosive player, but then you need that grinder in between the tackles with Zach Moss, and that's kind of what Joe Mixon mostly did. Um, with for his career in Cincinnati. Anyone else I'm missing that's pretty big? Uh,
No one really seen that's
oh,
worth thinking about.
I guess what's interesting is going to be also, I mean, another split. We can talk about these two, Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard, and Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. That's going to be very interesting. I think I just lean towards Pollard and Robinson, and I'd probably you know reserve some judgment for how Chase Brown, Spears, and Eckler do in their new teams.
Yeah, I think there's going to. I think there's going to be an adjustment period for both of those players, Pollard and Eckler. But week one, they would be a fringe flex for me if I'm really
Okay.
desperate for a running back.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be going out of my way to make sure that they're starting for me.
Yeah. Right. Where is? Oh, I
Yeah.
found that. Oh yeah.
I
You
was
can
just
go,
gonna
Shane.
say, yeah, no, I agree. I think that this is like a very big prove it year for Pollard, so I would expect him to win out there. But like between Robinson and Eckler, I feel like eventually it will be Eckler, but in terms of like week one going forward, it might be just like a really even split. But I agree with Collin in that whoever wins that job, you probably don't want him to be your RB1, you don't want him to be your RB2. You're probably just gonna want to wait until like maybe a couple games are in the books, and then you see how they perform. And then like if Eckler outperforms, then it's like okay, I'll put him on my bench or I'll put him on DFS, something like that. Same with Pollard.
Yeah. 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 We can get to the wide receivers. Um. So basically, this is a massive hodgepodge of players here. Um. I think that the easiest this guy's gonna get 30 plus. Where is he? It's basically Tyreek Hill. Like against the Jags, like he should be an instant smash. Um, I think Amon-Ra too. do pretty good against the Rams, like last year.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he should like
What
even
Collin?
if I mean yeah I think he's gonna play and even if he's just starting practicing I mean he's still the guy
Like, did he? He
Why
did
can I not?
practice today, so that's good.
Yeah, I did say that. I think I would probably put Ayuk at B just because like he actually didn't practice at all with the contract stuff, so I'd probably be reserving him a little bit. Um, so what do you guys think about AJ Brown and Devonta Smith this year? I mean, I know they're going into Packers, but I'm still high on AJ Brown, but I think Devonta can definitely get to a pretty good ceiling.
We've kind of seen them already with Kellen Moore, with the Cowboys offense, and what little we saw the Chargers offense since they lost Mike Williams very early. But Kellen Moore likes to feed the number one. He likes to get them the big plays, i.e., CD Lamb, i.e., Keenan Allen. I think AJ Brown is going to do. It could have his best season of his career this year, and I think Devontae Smith might lag a little bit because of it, but I do think he will still be a startable flex option, especially in week one. Now, against the Packers for these two, I do think they are bona fide. AJ Brown is the number one if you have him on your team. Devontae Smith is the number two if you have him on your team.
Yeah.
I also think that their roles were pretty fleshed out last season, where they want Devontae Smith to be more of a 10, 15-yard guy, which he's great at, and it's great for the team. But if you're a fantasy player, you probably want the 30-yard plus touchdowns that AJ Brown gets you. So I feel like you definitely always want to go AJ over Devontae.
Yeah. Where do you guys see the Texans receivers with Collin, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs? In terms of, I guess they're playing the Colts, so I mean, in theory, they all should eat. But we've seen how they did with Nico Collins in the playoff game last year.
I think they're all going to have a Tank Dell-esque season where they're either going to boom for 30 points or they're going to get you 5 points. And that's going to be what we see from them. Then there will be that one guy that gets 10 points that game, but they're going to succeed and suffer because of each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually just wrote an article about this very subject, but I'll put it to you this way: they asked D'Amico Ryans about who's the wide receiver one in the Texans, and he basically just told them whoever gets the ball is number one, which basically I think is him hinting that we're spreading the ball to all three of our weapons, and we're warning it, and the quarterback's going to keep it sometimes. So it's one of them could have an amazing game. We could see Stephon Diggs score 30 points in one game. And the next game, he could show up with 10 because they fed Bell in the end zone, or they fed Collin. So all of them are risky. I think they're – if you take a running back, I don't think you should have taken Collins with your second pick. Because if you want a wide receiver one that's going to anchor your team, you want someone Garrett Wilson, Drake London, someone who's going to demand targets just for the reliability.
If I had to pick a receiver of all of them to do the best, I would say Diggs, because kind of like what Shane was saying, out of all of them, he's the most vocal about demanding targets. From the quarterback. We saw that with multiple seasons of him just saying, give me the ball. I want the ball. I want to be out there and I want to get targeted. So I think he's going to lead the team in targets. But do I think he's going to do the best? Probably in PPR, but if it's standard, my money's going to probably be on Nico Collins for this offense.
Yeah, I think I definitely lean towards Collins, at least to start the year. But, I mean, I don't think you see this huge wide receiver pool. I think A and B tier are so close that it's literally like, I mean, do you guys see any any minor adjustments for this A and B tier specifically?
Zay Flowers for week 1, I might drop, honestly, the C tier. I know that's going to sound like I'm hating, but
no, I agree. Even as a Ravens fan,
like Trent McDuffie in his face, because Trent, he can't guard Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is too big, too physical for him. No offense, Trent, but last time Zay faced the Chiefs, he did good, but that fumble in the end zone, because he stuck out, I'm sure he'll be a lot more protective ball this go around, but I think Zay will be capped at maybe 10 points this week.
Yeah, his floor is definitely pretty low. Like, in terms of like neighbors, yeah.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I also feel like as good as Zay Flowers is, I think that like the in trouble target for Lamar is gonna be Mark Andrews. It will be for this game at least. So
yeah, in terms of like the rookie receivers, week 1, like Malik Neighbors and Harrison Jr. I kind of think I know they were like, at least Marvin Harrison was drafted like a wide receiver 1 basically, but I think B tier is good for them, at least starting out. Just because it's close, because like guys like Drake London, like I know he's in a better offense, but he did not show it last year. So I don't know.
He had flashes, but also Desmond Ridder was his quarterback.
yeah,
You have to remember, is Desmond Ridder even on a team anymore?
He's on like a practice squad.
He's representing DoorDash very well. But I think no, Nakua's on there. I didn't see him. Nakua.
Yeah, I put him in the same tier.
Scare me. Him and Cooper Kupp scare me because on one hand, Stafford is the quarterback I do believe is one of the quarterbacks that can support 2 number 1s for a fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like one of them is going to be the better of the 2 by like 30 or 50 targets.
Which one do you think will be better, though?
Yeah, you're
on one hand, I have Nakua.
Uh-huh.
But on the other hand, I also have Kupp in that league.
Yeah.
So
you want both of them to go off, basically.
I'm gonna go with Cooper Kupp. I'm taking Cooper Kupp. I think he's gonna have a bounce back year. He's gonna remind people of that Triple Crown winning season.
I think at least week 1. Yeah. I think Kupp is the most healthiest, and I mean Puka had like a minor injury, but he still should play. But you know, like it's always like, whoever's the most healthy could just outright just do better the first week.
No, I'm big on Kupp actually. Versus not that like he's gonna outshine Nakua. I just think he's gonna get more targets based on mostly because of the relationship that Coop has with Stafford. Like when they won the Super Bowl, everyone was talking about like how they ate breakfast together and they like hung out. So I feel like the chemistry means that like Stafford's gonna be really happy that he's 100% again. It's just that if he gets doubled, if he's in a bad matchup, Nakua will be a great other option to go to.
Right. I mean, I think it's if you're starting in a standard like two or three receivers at a flex, like you probably should have like 2 or 3 of these guys. Like, because unless I'm missing somebody notable, um, like those other like once you get down to like wide receivers 30 or like 40, like for example, like Christian Watson, like I mean you could bank on a boom bust game, but like I'm not sure. I don't know who to rank out of like these three in terms of Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and even Dontavian Wick. He can be involved.
I think a team that we're not talking about enough though is the Patriots, because I
Okay.
believe there are two players who can break out to be a top 25 guys, so like a good flex starter. Those being Jalen Polk, as we all know him, and Demario Douglas. I think both of those guys could end up being good flex options for either this week or even later down the season.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, I think with Jacoby Brissett, the upside is definitely like hampered a little bit. But if Drake May gets to play and he shows out pretty relatively early on in the year, I think he can become a potential flex wide receiver 2 option down the road. I guess any other receivers we want to talk about before we get out of here? Because there's a lot of other guys that are like barely flex options. Like if you're counting them week 1, then yeah, I mean, good luck. So maybe the other one, I guess, is if DeAndre Hopkins plays and Calvin Ridley. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's Calvin Ridley. How do you see that Titans offense becoming with Will Levis?
I think Will Levis is going to do phenomenal this season. He has a great receiving core. Tyler Boyd is his number 3 again. He has 2 great receiving backs who aren't really much runners. He has a new OC from the Bengals, so I believe Will Levis could finish as a top 15 quarterback. So if you really want to wait and take a shot on one, Will Levis, I believe, is the guy who a lot more people should have on their queues.
Yeah, but like, do you start Will Levis?
No, God no.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm take a shot on him, but don't take a shot on him to be your starter.
Yeah, because I think he's going to do well, but like, I'm not sure if that's going to translate into team success.
Yeah.
He might just develop a rapport with Hopkins over Ridley or Ridley over Hopkins. I don't think he should because they're both great. But I mean, like, he has an arm, so both of these players stand to get like 20 plus points every week. But I think the difference is the guys above them are more reliable. So if you're in a deep league, then yeah, you have a flex spot open, I'd say it's got to have Hopkins or Ridley if you have them. But I wouldn't be like, all right, I'm set. Ridley's my WR1. Like, it's not.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but hold on. Why did I do that? All right. Yeah. Before we get out of here, is there one pickup in like a 10 or 12 man league that you think will pay off later down the road?
I think Brandon Cooks is someone that we should keep an eye on. He's the number 2 in that Cowboys offense. I think Cooks is someone that, like we saw last year, he was able to put up 30 points in a couple games. And I think we should keep an eye on him. Like, hey, if one of the other receivers goes down, he's someone that could easily step up and be there, get maybe 5 to 6 targets a game and turn one of those to a touchdown.
Yeah, he could be a sleeper for sure.
I think one guy that some people are forgetting about. I think like the hardcore fantasy people know this, but you know, not everyone knows about the whole Cleveland running back situation. So,
Right.
if for the short term, Jerome Ford, Gerald Ford,
Yeah, Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford, great pickup. I just had a draft that was like last Monday, and Ford was there at the 12th round.
Oh.
And
Yeah, no, he falls
I was
quite a
like,
bit.
gimme. Yeah, exactly. So like he might be cheap on like DFS and stuff like that too. Another guy that I would throw in there too is like I might mess up his name, but Khalil Shakir on the
Mhm.
Bills could be a big target for Allen. It would be really interesting to see how many targets he gets versus Coleman and the other guys on that team. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, want to plug your socials and your where we can find your work. Colin, you can go first.
I don't really have a social that I post on regularly, but if you want to follow me, I am at the Goalpost Sports on TikTok. If you want to follow me,
All right,
Yeah.
Shane.
I'm pretty sure I'm at Two Shane's F at X.com, but I'm probably going to be changing that to something more sportsery. So find me on there for now, but by next week I'll probably have more of
Yeah,
a different channel I can plug.
yeah, I will
yeah,
too.
yeah. So you can follow Total Apex Sports on X and on basically we have Total Apex Fantasy, Sports, Entertainment, Gaming. You can follow me on Twitter at KookieKim1357. Yeah,